Good afternoon. Welcome back. It is Monday, July 17th, 2023. Going through all the races that happened on this day, I only found one race event that happened that was of major significance. So on this date, in 1983, John Paul Jr. won the Michigan 500, the first of two of his IndyCar-style races. He won one in the kart-sanctioned series, which is what this is, and he would win later at Texas in 1998 under the IRL banner. So we have a few birthdays to talk about today. A couple I do not have cards for. Born on this date, 1952, ASA standout, Mr. Mike Eddy. Of course, Mike was a winner and champion in the ASA division back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Always brought fast cars to the track and was always a rival of Bob Sinniger, Butch Miller, Trickle, and so many others of that era. Also born in this date, in 1994. Haven't heard much about him this year, but did run the trucks last year. I think he may be running some this year. Chris Wright. So let's start with our birthdays. Born on this date in 1955. He does have one Cup start to his credit, but he's more known for being a crew chief for Rusty Wallace in the early 90s, Mr. Eddie Dickerson. And the 1991 Peak 500 at Dover, they do play a small, not a tribute, but kind of an interview with him, talks about his career. So you might want to check that out. Born on this date in 1937, passed away in 2011, former gear and transmission specialist for Hendrick Motorsports and some other teams, Howard Slick Poston. Of course, all his cards are basically all pro cards, so that tells you he was good at what he did. I really don't have much about him, don't know much about him. I just know he, according to the cards, he worked for Quickie and Hendrick and a few other teams along the way. And our final one, most everybody should know this guy. Born on this date in 1941, he provided power for Hoss Ellington's team for a while. Then he moved over to Morgan McClure team and had those dynamite restrictor plate engines with Sterling Marlin and Rick Wilson and Ernie Irvin and so many others. Mr. Runt Pittman. Of course, his non-restricted motors were pretty stout too. But these cards are going to focus on his time at Morgan McClure. Of course, if you remember back in the late 70s, early 80s, that Hoss Ellington #1 car, I want to say he started building the engines for the Ford team in like 1988, maybe 87 thereabouts. But I know that he was building the engines there at Hoss's, I think up until 1986. And again, Hoss Ellington's super speedway program at that point was on par with all the big teams. Then eventually that was what happened with the 4 car. Not sure what kind of tricks Runt had. They never did really talk about a lot of them, but he put out some horsepower. So anyway, thanks again for watching. We will hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we will see you tomorrow.